Do you think anything is possible inside of Sin City, Las Vegas? I believe what God is doing is that he's bringing people together under the spirit of unity to display that anything and everything is possible through him. This is Las Vegas United. Well, hello and welcome to Las Vegas United. My name is Dauda Presley, and I have the pleasure of being your host. Now, here's the deal. We want to welcome you if you're watching from YouTube. If you are watching from YouTube, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell. Bing! Too bad I can't do the sound. Bing! To make sure that you receive every notification when we go live. Also, too, if you're watching from King 17, we welcome you. Also, to our Roku watchers, we welcome you guys as well. And now, here's the deal. I don't always say this, but it's a pleasure to be here, right? My name is Dauda Presley, your host. Now, here's the part. It's always important to know what's going on inside of your home, right? This is what we're doing here, is that we want you to know what's going on inside of Las Vegas on a consistent basis. And with that being said, I have somebody with me today that I believe is doing a great work here. I can sit here and say that with inside of my own personal home with one of my children is that the program in which that he's part of has helped tremendously. Can you help me welcome Jerry from Teen Challenge?
Thank you.
What's going on, my friend?
Hey, nice to be here. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
absolutely.
very much.
Oh, man, dude, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Now, here's the part. I mean, before we get to Teen Challenge, I want people to know who you are. You know, the man, Jerry, the one that the son of God, Jerry, the man of God, Jerry, the like David, the man after God's own heart. Can you tell our viewers who Jerry is?
Well, I had the pleasure of sharing my testimony many times. I was born in California, raised in Long Beach. I ended up going to school at Long Beach Poly, and you know, was a pretty inner city school. A lot of people know Poly. We have a claim to fame. We had 8 active NFL players at one time.
Oh man, come on
from
now.
one high school. So that's a pretty good claim to fame. Snoop Dogg
absolutely.
went to school with Snoop.
Okay.
And you know, just had a lot of a lot of neat individuals came out of that school. Willie
Right.
McGinnis and
Oh man, really?
yeah, Willie.
Ooh.
It was same. We had a lot of classes together. Same.
Yeah.
Sat next to Cameron Diaz in one class, and I mean, just a very interesting group of people in that school. I ended up kind of going south and ended up becoming a drug dealer, and I spent many years dealing drugs. Ended up going to jail. Actually got arrested at Disneyland of all places.
Come on now. Yeah, for real, out of all places.
Out of all places, I got arrested at Disneyland. We were, you know, we all we were doing is we were just kind of buying tickets with, you know, fake checks or credit cards, and then we would go and cash them back in for cash.
Oh wow.
And anyway, I did it one too many times, and they recognized me from the week before, and ended up going to jail. In jail, after being there for about 2 weeks, I'd been on meth for several years, and ended up coming out, just getting to where I could actually have a conversation. You know, like for about 2 weeks, first 2 weeks in jail, about the only thing I could do is just eat and sleep and eat and sleep. And you know, man, I mean, I weighed 130 pounds. I came out a little over a month later, and I weighed 160 pounds. So I put on almost a pound a day in jail. I mean, I was in bad shape.
Right.
And every day I would go in, and every time the chow bell would ring, I'd run to the front of the line. I'd get my food, and then I'd sneak back in line and try to get another plate of food because I was just so hungry. Because I literally hadn't eaten a real meal for a long time. You know, just drugs was what I was into.
Right.
And anyway, so after about 2 weeks on this program of just eating and sleeping, could have a conversation with somebody without nodding off.
Right.
And I start talking to this guy, and I wish I could remember his name, but we're there and we're talking. And I told him how when I got out, I was going to make a lot of money dealing drugs and selling guns and being in that life. And he just listened to me. He was real patient and sat there and listened to me. And when I was done, he reached behind him and he grabbed a Bible. And he goes, "God's got so much more for you."
Bro, come on.
And he handed me a Bible. And I'd never heard that before, but when he said God's got more, I said, okay, I'm in for the more.
Right.
And so he gave me the Bible, he outlined the Romans road and Romans, and sent me back to my bunk. And I start reading. And I start reading the Bible, and I'm going through Romans 1 and chapter 1. And I don't even think I made it through the first chapter. And I just got baptized with the Holy Spirit. Just got rocked.
Well, he meets you right where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just started bawling, right? So I'm in my bunk and I'm bawling and I'm trying to hide because you don't want nobody seeing you.
You don't want nobody seeing. He's like, I don't shed tears. I don't shed tears.
Yeah, you don't want that. And anyway, during that time, the chow bell rings. So typically, I'd just run to the front of the line and try to get in. And I remember I looked up and I said, God, if this is really you, give me enough to eat this time, because I always went away hungry. And so I end up going into there, and I just get in line normal, and I get my normal plate of food, and I sit down at a little round table just like this, 3-4 guys, and I start eating. And all of a sudden, guys, I don't know. All I've been doing for the last 2 weeks is sleeping. I don't know anybody. Guys, I don't know, start walking up and dishing food off of their plate onto mine. Guy after guy after guy. And to the point where I was the last person to leave the chow hall that day. Still had a plate full of food. I couldn't eat another bite. Had milks and oranges stuffed in my pockets. If anybody's been to jail, you know what I'm talking about. I got milks and oranges stuffed in my pockets.
Right.
And I walked out of there that day, and I remember I was the last person to leave the chow hall, literally turned the light out as I was walking out. And I walked across they had like a foyer you had to walk across, and it was outside, and I just looked up to heaven, and I said, God, I'm yours. Whatever you want, I'm yours. Yeah. And that was 31 years ago.
Come on, bro. Isn't it just interesting that, even when we find ourselves not in our right state of mind, when we find ourselves in a place where we are, whether we're physically in captivity or we're mentally in captivity or emotionally in captivity, right? The Father will always meet us right where we are, right? Yeah. And it's one of those deals where it's like, I've been reading this book, right, called Gentle and Lowly. And it's interesting because they say, the writer said, Jesus stands there with open arms, not a pointed finger. And it's interesting to hear your story because that's exactly what we have, right? We see Jesus standing there with open arms, not a pointed finger. And I think, that's the important aspect. You say, hey, man, it's been 31 years now. And what I equate that to is it's 31 years of consistently running to the arms that are stretched open and not the pointed finger. You know what I mean? So, but that's so good, man. That's so good.
He's so faithful. He's so faithful.
So one more time, because I think somebody needs to hear that right there, bro.
He is so faithful. He's so faithful.
Come on, man. All right. So here we are now. You had this radical change. You come out of jail and everything. Now what happens? What happens when you come out?
So I felt a call to the ministry, and so I started pursuing God through different classes, seminaries, always serving in my church, but he also has made me a businessman. I have my own business now for 35 years, or been in the same industry 35 years, have my own business for about 27 years. And just, he's always been faithful, always taken care of me, always provided, but I've always served in my church, served whatever capacity. It was associate pastor of a church here in town for 10 years. And then basically about, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, 14 years ago, Teen Challenge came back to town. They made several attempts to get a base going here in town, and Randy and Dana, they are our leaders. They've been there 45 years.
That's
with Teen Challenge. Yeah,
that's some labor, man. That's plowing. That's sowing. That's reaping. Yeah. Right? Oh man.
And they're over 10, 11 different. Bases, or I guess you call them our homes, Teen Challenge homes, all over the state of Nevada and Northern California. And we have a place for just about anybody. We're actually now starting, and one of the things we're raising funds for is we want a home for men with single dads. You know, and because that's like a group that isn't being touched.
Yes.
There's lots of groups for single moms. There's lots of groups we even have a home for families to keep families together.
Yes, I'm familiar with that one. Somebody in our family, we had to take our family up to San Jose and also Oakland.
Yeah, that's our houses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have, we have homes for teens, teen boys, teen girls, adult women, adult men.
Right.
And so the one group that hasn't really been being touched is single dads. And so that's what has really been put on our heart lately, to start raising funds for and to start creating a place, because that's a demographic that's just been growing.
Yeah.
We've noticed that a lot, that there's a lot of dads that they got their kids, the mom's gone. And that's something that's a big shift in our society over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But Teen Challenge we finally got back into Las Vegas about 15 years ago. Some of the first students that were in town, I was there from the beginning, because we had a trailer, you know, basically I had a travel trailer, and that was where the first students stayed. When the new directors came to town, they stayed in my travel trailer. So we got it going. Then they eventually found a house downtown, and now we have a house downtown on 9th Street that can house up to 18 guys and staff. And it's a wonderful facility. It's just a great facility, and guys come in and get their lives changed. And you know, I could share some stories of some of the guys that have been changed, but it's really quite remarkable.
Yeah. So okay. With that being said, because we're throwing a name out there, Teen Challenge, and there might be people that are watching this that do not know what Teen Challenge is all about. Can you just for a few moments just tell our viewers, what is Teen Challenge? What is a mission? What is a vision? Like what do you guys do?
So Teen Challenge is a proven cure for the drug epidemic. That's what we stand for. There's lots of different ministries for lots of different things, but we're looking for that soul who is addicted to drugs, that is caught in that lifestyle and wants a way out, wants a new life. So then they would come into the program. It's a 1-year program where they would submit to the rules of the house and learn to live. And then after the 1-year program, hopefully would go into a staffing position where they would again come for another year, where they would staff and help somebody else reach freedom. Which seems to be kind of a real, you know, thing of God. It's like that scarlet thread. You look at all the different ministries, and most of your ministries that actually work have a time where that person now gives back.
Yes.
You know,
because they can reach the people that they're going after, right? It's like Moses, right?
Yeah.
Moses goes back. Why would God choose Moses? Because Moses knew the way out, right? So God sends Moses back into Egypt to bring the people out. Because why? Because he knew the way out. And I love that right there. Is like you said, is one of those deals where, you know, a student goes through, and I love that right there. It's not like a patient. It's like, hey, a student goes through because they're learning something new, right? A student goes through, and now they go from student to staff. So yeah, man. So yeah, continue telling us about like that whole process and Teen Challenge and everything too. Yeah.
So I'll just share a story, because it's a good example of the process. So we had a sign up in Fresno that said Teen Challenge, the proven cure for the drug epidemic. And a young man, Michael, sees the sign, and he calls the number and he says, "That's what I need." And we say, "Okay, we got a bed for you in Las Vegas, but you got to get here." So he does what it takes. I think he went to his dad, went to somebody. You know, he was living on the streets on meth for 4 years, and he gets to Las Vegas, and gets in there. The next day, I'm doing his intake, and I'm talking to him about, you know, what the program's about, doing a little bit of counseling. And I'll never forget, you know, he's literally coming off of meth. He's still picking and batting at shadows and saying he's seeing demons and just really comes out, you know, really messed up. So Michael, during that first conversation, about halfway through, I just hear the Holy Spirit say, "This is my missionary." It was just so powerful. And I started bawling, and I just started telling Michael, I said, "God just told me you're going to be his missionary." Anyway, Michael goes through the program. He's in Teen Challenge for over a couple years, actually. He went through the year program, and then he staffed, and he stayed a little longer.
Right.
Well, at that time, my son was an overseas missionary. He's served in like 20 different countries, and he had pioneered a base with a couple in New Zealand. And so I sent Michael from there to New Zealand to be with my son and through YWAM. And so he was, in the YWAM organization. So now, fast forward, now it's been 10 years. Michael's 29. He was 19 when he came into Teen Challenge, literally walking out, nowhere to live, on the streets. Now he's one of the leaders of a base in Papua New Guinea, and he's taking, teaching Bible classes and taking missionaries, and just seeing that whole area change for Christ. And that's what Teen Challenge does, is it gives somebody their life back. It gives them an opportunity to have a life that they wouldn't have had they stayed with drugs. Oh,
man. Dude, that is a story, right? And then just like you think for yourself to be able to, you're like, I'm just intaking them, you know what I'm saying, to get them help. And the Lord speaks to you saying, hey, this is what I have for this person right here.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Watching Michael go through this, right? Because maybe there's somebody that's watching this, and they're like, you know what, like, I know my son, I know my daughter, they have a call on their life. I know an enemy's looking to just go ahead and like, hey, just derail all of that, right?
He's constantly on all of us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Could you just for a moment give somebody some hope, and like just with Michael's story, like, hey, he went from this to this. Like, could you just talk about like the hope for a parent or maybe a loved one that has somebody that's struggling with drugs right now?
I mean, that's the truth is that Teen Challenge is a pathway to freedom. It's a pathway to be free. Like, it's not the only way, but it is a way that has been proven to work.
Right.
It works, and it's been working for over 60 years, for over 65 years. And hundreds of thousands of people have gotten their lives back through this program. So if you've got somebody that you know that's struggling with drugs, they can't get free from it. If they're willing to submit to the program, they can have their life back. And that's what we need in the program right now, believe it or not, is we need bodies. Yes, we need funds. I mean, the house costs some $18,000, $20,000 a month to keep these guys there, and we don't ask for anything from them. This is not a program where they got to pay to be there, where you find so many recovery programs, drug recovery, it's $15,000 a month.
Man, it's ridiculous. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, this is for people who just want to be free, and they might not have those means. We'll bring them. We want the bodies. And one of the reasons why we really need people in this ministry, we need people to come in, is right now our house is pretty empty. I think we have like 6 or 7 guys in the program. The program really works good when you have 10 to 15 guys in there. The more guys you have, the better. And because Teen Challenge, these homes are set up, they're like a microcosm of the world. And what happens is there is a place for everybody, because we need every personality type. We need every kind of person. So you got that person that's got that attitude. They work perfect. They fit. And that it's a place for them, because they come in and they're going to rub against other people in that ministry. Well, what happens is they learn to live with those people. They learn to get along. They learn some things that they didn't learn. So now when they get back out in the real world and they run across somebody with that same personality type that might upset them, now they know how to live with them, and they don't go back to drugs. They don't go back to drinking. They don't get triggered. They don't get into fights, because they've learned for the last year to live with people that might not think the same way as them, might not be the same way as them, but they learn to get along and learn to live. And that's what so many of these people are struggling with, is they just can't get along with other people. They get in a fight, they get angry, they get upset, they say things, and then they get triggered and they go back into drugs. It's just such a process, and the enemy's so good at triggering them in that spot and getting them to go back down that road and back down that road. And they've tried so many times to quit, and then a trigger comes and they go right back down that road. This is a great place to learn how to live so that you don't get triggered to go back down that road anymore.
Right. Dude, that is something that's different from a lot of your clinical aspects, right? Is where, like, normally in a clinical aspect, it's like, okay, you go through the therapy, you go through the counseling, you sit down, you go through all this stuff, and you sit down, they talk about your emotion and everything, and all that stuff is great. You need that, right? But then it's missing the real world aspect, right? And like you said, how do I deal with somebody when we're not seeing eye to eye? What do I do? What's my response when somebody like just makes me upset? Like, and normally it'd be like, you know what, I'm just gonna escape it all. I'm just gonna go and either get drunk, I'm gonna go and get high, like whatever it is, so I can escape the reality of what I have going on. And what I love what you're saying, hey, Teen Challenge, now we don't look for them to escape. We look for them to begin to adapt. They begin to learn a new way. They have renewed mind as far as how Jesus wants them to live their life in this on this earth, right? And so, yeah, and I love that, and so that I think that's the biggest part that people are missing. So my prayer is that someone finds the zeal, the audacity, if you would, to go and tell a loved one and say, hey, there's a program that will help you not just get over and get through you medicating your pain or whatever the case may be to escape, but even much more, this is a program that's going to teach you how to adapt with various personality types, because like you said, there's all personalities in the world. And why just go ahead and put you in this box and be like, okay, we're going to get you together, and now you go out and it's like, well, now I'm in the real world, and the only thing I really know what to do is go back. And you guys say, hey, there's a better way, don't go back.
Yeah, once you learn how to live with these guys, and all of them are coming out of dysfunction. All of them are coming out of drug world. So you're getting all of those personalities that probably are the ones that would trigger you. It's not the nice grandpa pastor, even though we have those guys that come in and work with the guys, but those aren't the ones living in the house with you. It's the addicts, and it's the people, the selfish and the self-centered, the people that are trying to manipulate, and the con men, and they're all living together. And you learn that, hey, someone can have a different opinion, or somebody can say something, and that's not me. They can call me a name, but that's not me. I'm God's. I'm His. I have the identity of Christ.
Right.
The words that they use against me now, they don't work anymore.
Right.
Where before you could call somebody a name and they could be triggered. They get in a fight. Next thing you know, they're getting high and they're still pissed off at that person. Right. Excuse my language, but they that's the real world with them. Their real world is constantly moving from one anger to another anger. And this shows them that, hey, wait, you're God's child. Your identity is in Christ.
Right.
And what anybody else out in this world says about you doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. You need to find your place with Him and find your identity with Him. And once you find your identity with Him, and once you go into that relationship and you interact with Him on that level, the world, the things of this world grow strangely dim in the light of His glory and grace.
Come on, man. That's so good. So here's a part too, because I know at the church I was on staff with before, we would have Teen Challenge come in on a Sunday basis.
Those are the best.
Yeah. So can you explain that? Because some people are like, okay, Teen Challenge is great, this and everything, and now you're like, I think people don't understand that Teen Challenge is a Christ-centered. Organization, and your guys' teachings are based on the gospel.
Oh yeah, it's 100%. I mean, it was, the whole ministry was started off of David Wilkerson hearing, just a country boy that heard from the Lord to go and minister to the gangsters of New York, the gangs of New York. That was his calling. He just heard from God to go there. And here he goes into some of the worst areas, is threatened to be killed, but God told him to go and reach these lost. And it is 100% based on Christ. It's not based on church. Okay, these aren't church people. You're not getting churched, and what that means to me is you're not getting judged either, because so many times you walk into a church, you get judged. Okay, you're not getting judged here. You're not, walking in and you got tattoos on your face, and you got, gauges, and you got, you're still high, and you're doing this. I mean, a lot of people that live that way, they walk into a church and they immediately start feeling judged. Right. That's not Teen Challenge. Okay, you're accepted. We take you right where you are, just like God took me right where I was, a drug dealer in jail. He took me right where I was, and that's the heart of Teen Challenge, is we take you right where you are, but you're going to know Jesus. That's what you're coming to know.
Tell them one more time.
You're going to know Jesus. Like, you are going to see Jesus, and you're going to have times when you have loving, kind Jesus, and then you're going to have times when you have stern Jesus, and you need to listen and you need to be quiet. Okay, but you got where you are doing things your way. You're going to have to stop doing things your way, and you're going to have to start doing things the way that Christ would have you do.
Yes.
And then your life will start to change. And then you'll see daily, they'll start to live. And I've seen this story after story of the countenance of people that come in with this attitude. And man, then there'll be one day when they were reading their scriptures, one day when they were talking to somebody about Christ, and then all of a sudden, there's like a light comes on in their eyes. And you see it, and you're like, the old is past. Behold, there's a new creation here. And it's nothing gets me more excited than that moment.
Oh, man, so good. And speaking about that moment in our last few moments on our show here, can you tell our viewers how they can contact you guys, like your contact information? How can they partner with you? If they're like, you know what, I don't know anybody that necessarily needs help as far as addiction. However, I want to sow into this ministry. How can people gather more information about Teen Challenge and also to contact you guys or sow into you guys?
You know, the easiest way would just be to Google Teen Challenge Las Vegas, and you got all of our information right there. Phone numbers, emails, ways to give, ways to partner with us. Right now, we're looking for partners to help buy us a 15-passenger van. We're looking for partners to help create this home for single dads. We're looking, and we're looking for the person that just says, hey, I have $20 a month, or hey, I used to be addicted to drugs and God saved me. So I want a way to give back. And so I want to give $20 a month to the person, to this ministry, just to help somebody else get free from drugs.
Right.
I mean, there's a whole wide range. I could sit here and talk for another half hour on all the different things somebody could do with Teen Challenge. But I'd say your best bet would just go on your phone and Google Teen Challenge Las Vegas.
Right. It's
going to take you right to our website. And you can see the home down on 9th Street. It's right by Charleston and 9th. And you're more than welcome to call, ask for Jeff. Jeff's our director there, and he will, if you got somebody that needs a place, just call, ask for Jeff, and he'd love to, get them in and see their life changed.
Come on, bro. Hey, Jerry, thank you for coming up on Las Vegas United and sharing with us Teen Challenge. Man, it's such a great, I can sit here and personally say it is a very, very, very good program. So, man, thank you once again for coming up on here.
All right, God bless you, man.
God bless you too. Hey, we want to thank you guys for tuning into Las Vegas United tonight, and we pray that if you know anybody that needs assistance from addiction right here, right now, today, there's a place for them. You can go ahead and contact Teen Challenge. Other than that, God bless you guys. We'll catch you guys on our next episode.
Our show is hosted by Pastor Dauda Presley of Connection Church LV. To learn more about him and his ministry, please visit myconnectionlv.org. The guest this week is Jeremy Pippin from Teen Challenge. For more information, visit teenchallenge.net. Thanks for watching our broadcast. Las Vegas United is produced by CTNVegas. For more information about CTNVegas and our show, please visit ctnvegas.com.